During our 2022 Atlantic circuit, we sailed back to Europe via Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, realizing that this is a world-class cruising destination with its rugged coastlines, deep fjords, and abundance of marine life that we needed to explore more. In 2022, we were short of time and only had a few weeks to explore Nova Scotia and the south coast of Newfoundland. So this time we wanted to go back with enough time for a full circumnavigation of Newfoundland. To get back to Newfoundland, we had to cross the North Atlantic in spring. Hence we set sail from Kinsale in Ireland in April and sailed via the Azores to St. John's in Newfoundland. After exploring St. John's rich history, the Rooms Museum is a must visit. We set sail to the Royal Newfoundland Yacht Club, which is a superb place to take provisions and do boat repairs. The club members are very helpful and there's also good walks nearby. We can highly recommend the train trail hike. And here we are at mile 0. We're standing on an old railway bridge that would give. Now we're going to head off, hike back. It's about 15 kilometers from here to the marina. So, with Saga fully stocked for remote cruising, we headed north to Trinity Bay, sailing past Baccalieu Island, which was teeming with feeding whales. Old Pelican Harbour is the first secure harbour in Trinity Bay. It's a good passage stop in a working fishing harbour with wonderful, helpful fishermen. We were stuck here for 2 days due to a gale, so we did some really windy hikes. Next stop in Trinity Bay was Island's Eye, where we took the narrow entrance into the inner pool of Traytown. Traytown is a resettled community. It was resettled in 1964, and many of the houses were floated to the new economic towns. Some of the remaining houses on the island are still used as weekend cabins. Some of the cabins have guest books. We signed this one and got a very nice message on Facebook a few days later. On the path here, looking for the missing crew. Anchored in the inner pool of Traytown. Wonderful. Next morning we piloted carefully out of Traytown and sailed up the coast to Trinity Harbour. Trinity Harbour was a bigger settlement, which is now a big tourist town. Great eatery on the wharf and a shop that sells homemade chocolate. Very yummy. We did a very nice hike to Gun Hill, where you can enjoy some great views of the whole area and the harbour. Enough?
It's never enough.
We arrived late at Catalina Harbour and found one of the jetties to be completely empty. All other jetties were packed, which of course was a bit concerning, but we had no other option than to berth on the empty wharf. Early next morning, the harbour master came around and told us a big cargo ship is coming and we have to move. We quickly slipped the lines and set sail to our next destination, Bonavista. The fishing season has started and we caught our first cod, a real whooper of more than 1 meter long. Wait. And we are arriving in Bonavista with a whooper of a cod. Bonavista didn't get a chance to live up to its name, as we couldn't see it properly due to the usual Newfie weather. It was a very, very thick fog. We left Bonavista Bay early morning in a very thick fog, not expecting to see much crossing the Bonavista Bay to Salvage. But wow, did we get a show.
Goes down now. The tail.
if there's a rock popping up.
Yeah.
All ready, Klaus?
Yes, I'm ready. Battle station.
Salvage Harbour. Tricky entrance, but what a lovely little harbour. An adventure centre brewery was being built on the dock in the old fish plant. It's gonna be a great place to have a drink and a bite to eat after hiking one of the many well-marked trails in the area. We did the hike to Old Harry's place, where we saw pilot whales from the cliffs. The next day the weather forecast was strong winds from the south, so we took the opportunity to sail 80 nautical miles to Fuku Islands. We left Salvage Harbour early morning, lazy sailing with the usual display of wildlife. We made good progress at force 6 until we arrived to Fuku Island. Then the wind died, and we had to motor, arriving at dark at the entrance to Fuku Harbour. We took the eastern entrance, as it has a beacon and a lit cardinal to guide us in. Just before midnight, we were tied up at the fisherman's wharf. We spent 2 days on Fuku Island. So many hikes to do. Our favorite was the Lion's Den Trail, where you walk through the locations of the old tiny communities, all well marked and lots of information boards. A must do. We also hiked to Brimstone Head, where you have good views of Fuku, and we could see several big icebergs off Twillingate, our next stop in the Iceberg Alley. We left Fuku early morning in very thick fog. Luckily we have radar, so we could spot the icebergs and also sail close to one of the icebergs for the must-have photo. We were a bit disappointed about Twillingate. The harbour is a good walk from the town. Good place to get provision, diesel and propane, but for hiking, Fuku Island had so much more to offer. Fully provisioned, we set sail the next day in the wonderful sunshine across the Notre Dame Bay towards the French coast.
Here we are at the French coast, Notre Dame. And we have an iceberg over there. And somewhere behind these rocks is our harbor for the night. Let's see if we can find it. The entrance is very narrow, so let's see.
We had a swift sail to La Sille, the Saw, where we were greeted by an iceberg stuck on a shore just outside the port entrance. Next stop on the French coast was Fleur de Luz, a real hurricane hole. It's a small community full of retired fishermen. Quite a few of them came down on their ATVs to chat and see the yacht.
Hey.
We had a great stop here and left loaded with gifts. Homemade moose stew, salted cod, and frozen blueberries. The iceberg forecast still promised us many iceberg ahead.
It's Skipper Chris reporting live from Saga. We have a iceberg next to us.
The next day we sailed north to Engle Island. The government wharf at Engle Island is small, but there's both water, power, and showers. Great hikes on the island. The trail to the lighthouse is highly recommended.
Good morning, we are leaving Engle Island. It was very nice. Good walks.
On the passage to St. Anthony, we sailed past some high cliffs teeming with birds.
There must have been some puffins also in there.
So we can.
St. Anthony is a good stop for provisioning and also has some good hikes overlooking the sea. After St. Anthony, we sailed north to Garden Cove. Garden Cove is a great anchorage for visiting the Viking site of Eric the Red.
Ahoy! Skipper Chris here from the northernmost point of Newfoundland. The big lighthouse here on Cape Baldul. And we are just going around and into a bay here where we're going to visit the Viking site of first Vikings to reach Newfoundland in about 700. The passage down the west coast is hard as it's against prevailing winds and the constant outflowing current of the St. Lawrence River. A good place to stop is Port of Choice, where there is good shelter. The hike to the Point de Riches lighthouse is a must, and so is a visit to the History Museum. And here we are at Point Riches. Early morning, 6 o'clock.
The passage from Point Riches to Cowhead is 55 nautical miles, which makes a long day of sailing. Cowhead provides good shelter from all wind directions, but no facilities.
Skipper Chris here, and we're just entering Bonnet Bay.
Bonne Bay is home to Grosmont National Park, and there's a lot of exploring to be had here. The main anchorages in Bonne Bay are Woody Point, Needy Harbor, and Lomond Cove.
Look at that view. Lookout Point. Okay, here we are on the top of the mountain, Lookout Point, enjoying the view, having our trail mix. And there we have Sarg, just south of Woody Point. Very nice anchorage, good holding and mud.
To hike the Grosmont mountain, we anchored in Needy Harbor and took a 15-minute taxi ride to the trailhead.
And here I am, early morning, before 7 o'clock with my adventurous team, consisting of Klaus from Germany, Natalie from Mauritius, and yours truly, Skipper Chris from Denmark, and we're going to go up and climb that mountain there, which is the Gromont, the tallest mountain in Newfoundland. 6 to 7 hours walking.
We'll see.
We'll see. Wow. It's getting a bit cooler now. Some rain is coming, but look at it. How beautiful is that? It's just so amazing. Here we have the adventurous team on top of Newfoundland. We are at the summit, 806 meters, Gromont, and it took us 2.5 hours, 7.3 kilometers to get up here. But now we have 9 kilometers to go down, so we have to get down before these stratus nimbus clouds are giving rain, yeah? All right.
Lamont Cove was another great stop in Bond Bay. Awesome hike to Stanley Will and free hot showers. Our last stop in Newfoundland was Woods Island in the Bay of Islands.
And here we are, sailing along the west coast towards the Bay of Islands. Beautiful. We have light winds and funny seas. Oi, Skipper Chris here from Bay of Islands, and it reminds me a bit of Ireland actually. It's very nice and green, little islands here, and nobody around. We haven't seen anyone all day, and also we have no signal, but we have nice sunshine. Start turning.
From Bay of Islands we did an overnight passage to the Magdelen Islands.
This is what 26 knots looks like. Goes down now. The tail.